Hagrid's grand opening, crazy lines, PR stunts, midday openings, reviews, and a sneaky Yeti on episode 357 of the Unofficial Universal Orlando podcast. Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 357 of the Unofficial Universal Orlando podcast. I'm hosting this one. My name's Darren. And with me, I have Chris.
Hey, man.
Hey, man. What's happening?
Not much.
All right, chilling, bro. All right,
Yeah,
let's call our friends over the pond, Lee and Tracy.
Mad and Harry? You couldn't be talking about me, could you?
I was just going to say hello, but Lee threw me then.
How's everybody doing?
Good.
Yeah, all right. How are you?
With everything that's gone on with Hagrid, I am still incredibly excited to ride that attraction.
Yeah, definitely. It looks awesome when it works and when Universal's not committing some kind of conspiracy about it.
Darren's 2 drinks in. Everyone, be careful.
He's not. He's 1 drink in, the start of his 2nd.
Yeah. Things are already going downhill.
I listen.
All right, Tracy.
Yes.
You want to let us know about some Producers Club birthdays?
Oh, I will. I will. Actually,
Darren's learning already.
it's birthday.
Oh, God.
Singular.
We're not
we just
doing birthdays today?
we are.
Birthdays.
I
Just one, though.
just have the one, and it's very, very special. And somebody I hope is listening. So on June the 30th, it is a very, very, very special birthday of a very, very special lady. And it is Alexa Lourero's birthday. So, happy birthday!
Happy birthday!
And Alexa, Chris was right. We do them every 2 weeks, not once a month.
Oh, Lee, thank you so much for that.
Well, I'm probably going to get a
just
slap
felt
in
good
October
hearing.
now.
Probably.
Sorry, Alexa.
But Chris,
it is true.
Chris has told me that he's planning to bake you a cake and pamper you all day and spend all of his money on you. So have
Not
a great
all of
day.
it. He'll need some of it for October.
Yeah. I'll even freeze some of that cake and save it for you guys. How about
Awesome.
that?
And now I'm getting a slap in October.
I didn't say you can eat it. I'm going to throw it at you.
Yeah, that's what I'd say. A slap with a piece of cake. Sounds like a good way to go, actually.
I can think of worse ways.
Yeah. So yes, have a lovely birthday, Alexa.
Yes.
Yes.
Well, something happened at Universal a couple weeks ago. A new ride was introduced. Hagrid's Extreme Motorbike Adventuring.
Magical Mystery
Lee didn't
Tour.
put it in the notes, so I don't remember it all. Magical Mystery Tour. Featuring...
Did you say mystery
blast-
tour?
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh,
Featuring the blast-ended Scroot.
Hagrid's magical creatures.
It's
Motorbike
Universal's
Adventure.
fault. It's too many words.
All right.
All you have to think is MDMA, and it's almost that. It's MCMA.
Oh, my God.
All right. Well,
Yep. Guess I went there then.
Wow.
I picked up on that one when it was first.
The kids are on this new crack. It's called MCMA.
Not that I'm into drug culture or anything, because I'm too much of a chicken, but, you know.
Anyway.
Yeah, I don't even know what it is.
definitely.
This
Well,
went
anyways.
in an opposite direction real quick.
We might be in an outtake right now. What's up? Anyway, so Chris, you want to tell us about Hagrid's opening?
No, it's his
I
grand
hear it was
opening.
grand. I know.
His grand opening.
You gotta let me finish. I heard it was grand,
Hey.
like the canyon.
Yes, of course. I would love to tell you about Hagrid's opening. So on June 11th, Universal invited a select group of guests. Basically, it was an Eventbrite lottery to witness Harry Potter film stars Tom Felton, Draco Malfoy, Rupert Grint, Ron Weasley, Ivana Lynch, Luna Lovegood, Warwick Davis, Professor Flitwick, and James and Oliver Phelps, Fred and George Weasley, open Hagrid's Magical Creatures Motorbike Adventure.
Too open.
The most highly themed, immersive coaster experience ever. So the event was hosted in front of a blocked-off entrance to the ride by Hema. She welcomed everybody
Gemma?
to the event.
Oh, Chris is Hispanic, isn't he? How Hispanic is Chris? Gemma? Oh, she's called Gemma.
Is it not Hema?
No, it's
Is it
Gemma.
Is it?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm pretty Hispanic. So Gemma.
In fairness, she was
the Brits mean
British.
what they write. Yeah.
Annoyingly so.
Gemma welcomed everybody to the event and then brought out Tom Williams, the CEO of Universal Parks and Resorts, to speak to the crowd about the new attraction.
That's the first time I've ever seen him.
He's a skeleton.
He looks old, doesn't he?
Yeah. Sorry.
Rude.
Well, he does.
But true.
It's our overlord, guys. Come on.
Oh, I know.
So once Mr. Williams left, Gemma was then joined on stage by Ivana Lynch and Warwick Davis, Tom Felton, and Rupert Grint, who arrived in the famous Ford Anglia. Finally, joining her on stage and arriving on Hagrid's motorbike and sidecar were James and Oliver Phelps. The last star to join them was Robbie Coltrane, who unfortunately was only there on video message.
Yeah.
It was then time to officially open the attraction and to clear the entrance. Warwick David asked the crowd to repeat the Wingardium Leviosa spell, and the boxes and crates flew out the way. Now, we heard that this was done using drones inside the crates, but it looked pretty impressive. The movie cast and 46 special guests then got to have multiple rides on the attraction and look down upon all the guests waiting to ride.
Yes.
What can't you do with drones?
See, amazing. I watched that video the next day and I was like, how the hell? Because when he went to do the spell, I was like, there's no way they're going to move out the way. And when they all started, I was like, oh my God. And then I never even considered that that's what it was.
Yeah, if you're going to use drones, you might as well do the old like magician hoop thing.
Yeah, it was cool.
Really impress us. Like, whoa, going around it. No
yeah.
strings.
Hopefully they keep those drones so we can get some flying, what are they called?
Dementors.
Dementors, yes.
They may be there for that because if you think back when Nikki and Gabe reviewed the Hogwarts, whatever the hell the new one's going to be called, the Dark Arts one that's coming, the one out in Hollywood did have drones as part of it.
Mm-hmm.
If you think about it, you could have owls flying about. All sorts. That is quite exciting. Someone needs to get on that.
But it would have been cool to have been at that event if you'd managed to get on the tickets in the 3 seconds it took to them all to go.
And wasn't it like 40-something tickets and that's it?
Yeah, 46, that was it.
Yeah.
It was like an annual pass holder thing. So like I think someone commented in our group, it was like 92,000 people and you're giving away 46 tickets.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, well, at least it was something. They didn't have to do it at all.
Yeah, they didn't need to do it all. You're right.
So it was a cool little opportunity for 46 people. And usually things like that are like one special guest gets to do something. So at least they did 46. So that was kind of cool.
That's true.
And it means that those guests as well got the distinction of being able to do their first ride on it at night, which apparently seems to be the best time to ride that attraction.
Yeah. I mean, it just stands to reason that would be with all the lighting effects and anything like that working well. But yeah, the actual opening day for the attraction was June 13th, and that was when the actual theme park guests got to ride it for the first time. Universal announced that now you can brave the mysteries and thrills of the Forbidden Forest and join Hagrid as you come face-to-face with some of the Wizarding World's rarest magical creatures on the most highly themed, immersive coaster experience yet. To celebrate the opening, Harry Potter film stars Tom Felton, Ivana Lynch, Warwick Davis, and James and Oliver Phelps, as they did on June 11th, led the guests who were lucky enough to be at the front of the attraction at the time of opening and reciting the iconic spell, Wingardium Leviosa, right?
Leviosa, not Leviosa.
Oh, gotcha. Wingardium Leviosa in unison to reveal the entrance of the new experience and welcome guests inside. Universal told us that there are like so many reasons to be excited for this first ever story coaster, but like here's a couple to rev your motorbike engines, bro. Bored magical motorbikes riding on either the motorcycle or in the adjacent sidecar like a loser, whichever. Adventure of the Forbidden Forest featuring more than 1,200 trees. That's like a weird thing to specify, but cool. Weird flex, but okay. Come face to face with some of the Wizarding World's rarest magical creatures, such as a majestic centaur, a swarm of mischievous Cornish pixies. Oh God.
Jesus.
A swarm of mischievous Cornish pixies. Fluffy, the three-headed dog, blast-ended Scroots, a creature that's never been seen in the films. Cool. And more encounter Hagrid himself as the most lifelike animated figure that Universal Orlando has ever created. Become entangled in a thicket of devil's snare and unexpectedly free fall nearly 17 feet to escape the perilous plant. Feel the freedom of flight as you ascend above the trees, rapidly accelerate through the ruins, speed forward and backwards up to 50 miles per hour and more. There you go.
Same
Watch
stuff
a
we've already
POV,
heard.
even though you're not allowed. Yes.
Right. Have any of us watched a POV of it yet? No.
Oh, I have several.
I've
Chris?
seen snippets of seconds for it.
I
don't wanna watch it.
accidentally saw one bit of the screw and went, no, not
Oh, is that what
watching.
you screeched at last
Yeah.
night?
No!
Oh, God. I'm the only one that watched it. I'm sorry. All right.
I
Well-
know enough. We recorded next week's show like the weekend.
That sounds like time travel we recorded
the
next
weekend
week.
just gone. So Tracy and I, without actually knowing where everything is, we pretty much know everything that's in it, which we did anyway because Alicia told us. Alicia was on the button
Yeah.
with everything anyway.
Yeah.
But just looks phenomenal. It really does.
Yeah, I kind of want to watch it. And even after hearing, I think Alicia said, like, even after you can watch all the POVs and all that stuff, but it's a completely different experience once you're on it. So
Yeah.
I'm kind of
Yeah.
split between that, but I'm trying to hold off as much as I can.
Well, I'll tell you, it's cool. There you go.
It just looks at. We watched Tim Tracker's video on Saturday
Yeah.
before we sat down with Michelle and Maddie and Todd and Joni. And I think I commented on the show with them that it looks like it's been there forever.
Oh, it does. It looks weathered.
It does not look like a brand new attraction, which I'm saying it as a good thing. It looks like it fits in so well.
Well, the entirety of the Wizarding World is rustic anyway, so it needed to look worn.
Yeah, I can't wait.
Like the
It
views
looks
from
good.
the queue and stuff, it brings Hogsmeade itself, like because they work so well together that some of the views you get of Hogsmeade from the queue of it just really complement Hogsmeade, and then the views from Hogsmeade looking out into it just look so much better. And it for all everyone was disappointed that Dragon Challenge went, this so far seems to be taking all the technical issues that we'll get to out of it once everything's up and running properly, which will happen. It's a far better attraction to fit into that land than what was there.
Yeah.
Seems that way.
And obviously, since I've seen a POV, then they don't have the metal detectors or anything anymore.
No. Because you can take pretty much anything in your pockets with it because it doesn't go upside down.
Yeah, I've seen people like filming.
Which you're not supposed to.
Right.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've seen everything about it, the pre-show, the ride, everything. So
I've seen the pre-show.
obviously
pretty
people,
much.
Yep.
I kind of just kept flicking my eyes to the screen because I'm trying to kind of just see enough
It's
to
difficult,
be able to
isn't
discuss
Yeah.
it, but just
Yep.
keep enough back for myself.
it? Yeah.
Especially when it's not long now until we're going to get to experience it, I hope.
No, it's not long either, actually.
You know.
True.
Very soon.
Yeah. There are a lot of animatronics though, and they're open to the elements. So I just hope that I'm sure they have them all,
Okay.
like planned for that. But like,
I'm sure they do.
like the Fluffy and those kind of ones are like right out in the open. I don't see any kind of covering above them at all. So
I thought Fluffy was because it looked like it was in some sort of like a cave opening type thing.
but
I
it's
might be
like
wrong.
it's outside. It's kind of poking out of the cave.
Okay.
As far as I could tell on the videos that I saw. But
That'll be interesting then.
Yeah.
yeah,
Hopefully you can battle off South Florida humidity
Well, you look
or
at
Florida humidity.
you look at the Jurassic Park
That's just gonna say-
dinosaurs. They aren't exactly weathered very well, have they?
Yeah, but how old are they?
no,
True.
yeah. Hopefully they've come up with new skins and that kind of thing for them.
Yeah.
Thing is, if they wear and tear and stuff, with unlike Jurassic Park, I think with it being the Wizarding World stuff, Universal will be on top of it anyway.
Yeah,
I
I
don't
would
think
imagine
Warner
so.
Brothers and JK would let them go to
No.
the sort of state that some of the Jurassic Park stuff has.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Get like a paint job every weekend.
Yeah, like old school Disney.
Well, yeah, and we've seen that they're going through some pretty extensive lengths to do maintenance on it. So we'll
Yep.
talk about that a little bit later too, I'm sure.
Yep.
But first, let's go to Seth for some little things.
Hi, this is Seth Kabursky from the Unofficial Guide to Universal Orlando, and I'm here with another look at all the little things that are new around the Universal Orlando Resort. Obviously, the biggest news recently is the opening of Hagrid's Magical Creatures Motorbike Adventure. I waited 7.5 hours for my ride on opening day, and went back a week later and only waited 4 hours, which I'd say is an improvement. The barricades that they used to corral the queue line on opening day are still out, stretching all the way from port of entry through Seuss Landing. However, they are no longer being used. The queue each day is being corralled pretty much entirely in the Sinbad Plaza. Here's a tip. They've been opening the attraction around 1:45 each afternoon for the past week. So if you hop into line a little after noon, you'll probably have your best chance of riding with a minimal wait. But here's a word of warning. If the single rider queue extends all the way to the exterior door, you're looking at least a 2-hour wait in single rider. So it might not be saving you as much time as you'd hope. The other big new attraction this summer is going to be the Big Fire restaurant in City Walk, which is not open to the public at the time I'm recording this. However, they were having a mock service training the waiters and chefs with team members just last night. So look for Big Fire to open any day now.
Oh, we will.
In other food news, it looks like they've been experimenting with a new ordering system at Fast Food Boulevard, the Simpsons fast food court in Universal Studios, Florida. They were testing out a system where you would order and pay at a cashier first and then go to a window to pick up your food, as opposed to the other way around, how it's always been. Not sure yet if this is going to be a permanent change or just a short-term experiment. Spotted some construction walls around the park recently. Construction walls are up in front of the former Terminator 2 3D building that is strongly rumored to be becoming a Bourne-themed stunt show. Was originally planned for 2019, so if it is going to open in this year, they will have to be talking about it very soon. And Bruce the Shark, formerly of the Jaws ride and now located near the Alcatraz drink stand in San Francisco, was also getting a little refurbishment of his own recently. One construction project that has completed is the rebuilding of the bypass bridge between Lost Continent and Jurassic Park. The new replacement bridge, which was demolished and rebuilt partially to accommodate the construction of the new roller coaster going into Jurassic Park, is now complete and pedestrians are able to cross on that bridge now. And last but not least, Pride Month continues to the end of June, and you can find rainbow-themed Love is Universal merchandise in the major gift shops in both parks. Okay, that'll do it for now. I'm Seth Kaburski from the Unofficial Guide to Universal Orlando, and I'll be back in a couple weeks with more little things from around the resort. Until then, you can find me on Twitter at the UG Series.
Seth recorded that last Saturday, so he missed out that due to a DreamWorks and Netflix collaboration, She-Ra, the Princess of Power, is now meeting and greeting in the Lost Continent Islands of Adventure.
So weird, so out of the blue.
It is pretty random,
Yeah,
but it's cool.
Netflix's big business at the moment, isn't
Well,
it?
it's DreamWorks, isn't it? So,
Yeah.
yeah, they own it. Why not?
Exactly. It's something extra in
Right.
the park.
I know I'm going to call him out. Stuart Mallet messaged me. And he was like 4 episodes deep into the series when he messaged me. And it's like, I will give him his due. He has got a little daughter. But he was watching it on his own. And he's like, it's pretty cool. And I was like, I started watching it today. No, it's not.
Oh,
It's
you did?
terrible. I watched about 5
That's it.
minutes of it. It's terrible. But it's not aimed at me.
Right.
Right, we are going to talk more about it in 2 weeks' time. But can we talk briefly about Big Fire? Because that place looks amazing.
Yeah.
Even if somebody doesn't eat a lot of meat, I am really looking forward to eating
yes.
You saw the tracker video, right?
Yes.
that. Yes.
We watched Tim Tracker's video. Darren and I were talking about it the other day, actually. Tim Tracker's video, theme park. No, was it? Which video was it, Darren? I want to say theme park review, but it wasn't, was it?
No. Oh boy.
I can't remember now. That was the best one because he had Chef Steve Jason showing him like virtually all the dishes and they look stunning.
Well, Lee's got his 3 courses down. First course, s'mores. Second course, s'mores. Third course, s'mores.
It is expensive. Those tableside s'mores for 2 people are $18.99.
I don't think that's bad.
Whoa.
You
And
can
then,
have that and I'm having something else.
And then $9 each if you want to add additional people. I was like, hell no. So it's not a cheap place because we're looking at doing
No.
Toothsome when we come over.
But
And
when you-
Toothsome's cheap.
It is.
Toothsome is actually
roll of
very
chocolate.
affordable for what it is.
I was surprised at how cheap most of
Yeah.
the entrees were in there.
But when you look at Big
Yeah.
Fire and compare it, it looks high end. The food looks amazing if they keep up that quality. And when you're looking at the quality of the cuts of meat, that's what you're paying for.
Yeah.
You know, you're paying for some real premium cuts of meat there.
I'll give Universal a due. The last two places they've opened, I think we've talked about on this show, and until they actually opened, we were like, eh. And then Today Cafe opened, and I went, do you know what? It actually looks really good. I want to eat there.
Yeah,
and then Big Fire's the same.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It looks very good. It's Theme Park Insider, by the way.
Yes, it was. You're right. Yeah. Yeah, that's the best video to watch because, like you say, you had Steve Jason showing him
I enjoyed
around
that.
everything. And, they had Reese's peanut butter cups on the table side s'mores, and that was me. I was like, yes, please.
While
realise-
you're finishing up your voodoo donut.
Yeah.
You realise I could just buy you a multi-pack of those for a
I
lot
know,
less.
but I've never had proper s'mores. The fact that you're going to actually get to do it
You've
on
never
the
had s'mores when we go to the dark side?
No, not like that. No, because you actually get to build
you
them
do it
yourself
yourself.
and flame your marshmallows and stuff there. I've never got to do that before, so that'll be pretty cool. Burn the place down.
You and fire.
It just seem a bit dodgy.
All that
Later
wood
this
around.
evening, Lee and Tracy build a fire in their yard.
But no, I'm excited to try it. It looks really good, and like I say, it looks like it's due to open any day.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm surprised they haven't opened it already, even after
Yeah.
having that.
Yeah.
That's like, not soft opening, but the media preview and all that.
Yeah.
It's been a while.
Yeah, it seems weird. It's been what? It must be like a week and a half, 2
Yeah.
weeks since that
'Cause
preview.
surely if they've done that preview, they're ready to go.
Seems strange.
There'll be a reason for it.
It's funny when you look at City Walk now. Like I remember coming out in 2013 when all of this sort of redo was going on. There's not an awful lot left in City Walk now that was there sort of 6 years ago. Like Hard
No,
Rock,
there
Bubba
isn't.
Gump, Pat O'Brien's, Bob Marley, and that's about it.
Kind of got upstairs some of those.
I mean, like restaurant, yeah,
malls and stuff like that's all.
but I mean the
It's
actual
the same.
major restaurants.
Yeah. Did you say
True.
Margaritaville?
Oh no, Margaritaville,
Yeah.
yeah.
Don't think that's going anywhere soon.
Terrible.
No, I don't think so.
I still want to go across the road to the Lone Palm though.
Oh yeah.
Just sit and drink. No
Yeah.
kids.
That's a great spot, especially when you're coming out the park.
Oh
Yeah.
yes.
Just sit
Yeah.
there, drink. That's it.
Start at the top of the menu and work your way down.
All right. Well, we will get to that while we hear from a word from our sponsors.
If you guys are ready to go to Halloween Horror Nights or just a wonderful trip at Universal or anywhere, your team at Mouse and Muggle Travel Company would love to help you. So just send us an email to info@mouseandmuggle.com and we'd be glad to help you go anywhere.
All right. And we're back. And Tracy, you want to tell us about those opening day lines?
I will indeed. So yes, as we said, June the 13th was the official opening day for Hagrid's Magical Creatures Motorbike Adventure, or MCMA as we're going to call it now.
I like putting the full title
drug
in
of
there just to
choice.
get you to read it all.
Doesn't bother me. Universal had seemed to have learnt from the openings of Hogsmeade and Diagon Alley by tempering guests' expectations. They did this by not giving guests information that would encourage them to get to the park super early. They also began setting out barriers, that Seth mentioned, in Alice's Adventure the day before to allow them to separate the guests who were there just to get in line for Hagrid from those who weren't, so that didn't disrupt the average day guest, which I think is a very good idea.
Yeah, I know they were telling people that the parking garages wouldn't be open till 6:30 the morning of. Yet we know there was people there a lot earlier.
A
than
lot
that. Yeah,
earlier.
you'll find out that next week. But I'm talking a lot earlier than that.
Yeah. So yeah, we had our UUOP representatives there on opening day. We had Maddie, who writes for our blog. She took over our Instagram story for the day. We also had Michelle from Mouse and Muggle, who was there with Maddie. And they were joined by listeners and Producers Club members, of course, Todd Elsworth and Jodie Griswold. Now, we'll be hearing from them in more detail about their experience next week. So much fun. And they got to the park early and waited a long time to get on the ride. Yeah. So yeah, as I said earlier, Universal definitely seemed to have learned from previous experiences from the openings of Hogsmeade and Diagon Alley. They stationed team members in the line at Lost Continent, handing out free water bottles. Water bottles, bottles of water.
Yeah.
Yeah, not empty water bottles. That's just stupid. They also had water fountains along the way too, as well as plenty of places to buy drinks and snacks, including, as we found out, places to buy drinks and snacks after people had to put the stuff in the lockers and didn't have any money.
Yeah.
that may have been a slight stumbling block. The line was arranged so it passed bathrooms, and TMs were on the spot to make sure it all ran smoothly when people needed to leave the line. And from what I understand, they were walking people back to their places in line as well, so other guests weren't saying, "Why are you jumping ahead?" So
there was no fisticuffs.
Yeah, that was quite well thought out, I thought. So for the most part, it seemed to go pretty smoothly, considering the amount of people who went to the park solely to ride Hagrid's Magical Creatures Motorbike Adventure.
That's good.
It seemed to be well organised.
Right, how long would you two wait to ride an attraction on opening day?
20
3
minutes.
hours.
I'm probably like 3, maybe 4 hours. If it's an opening day thing, probably 3 or 4 hours. 8 is brutal.
It is crazy. But I don't know.
That's
I
not
think
even
I'd
the
want to do
longest.
it. I think if you had the right,
I don't know. The
I know, I'm
older I
just
get, I
thinking,
just don't want to do that.
I don't think I could physically do it with my back.
if you had the right group of people,
Yeah.
people were sitting down and stuff. If you had the right group of people with you, I think it would be an experience worth doing. But yeah, you're right. It would.
That's completely different. Yeah.
It would
Wasn't it-
take its toll.
Hunter and Travis waited like 11 hours.
Yes.
That's way
I mean,
too
that is
long.
crazy. There's no way I'd wait that long.
No.
Oh boy.
Yeah, there's no way I would wait 11 hours.
No.
But
Yeah. Because the thing is, I mean, if you look at it, it's like it's something you can go and do maybe a couple weeks later that will have a much less wait. Now, if you told me on opening day you get to go meet some stars while you're gonna, right before you ride it and all that kind of stuff, then I get waiting,
Yeah.
10 hours.
Yeah.
But it's difficult to justify that wait and going to the park for that
True.
one specific ride.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But props to you for doing it.
exactly. At the same time, if that's something you want to do, then awesome.
Yeah.
I think the interesting thing is to how many people that were there opening day that were locals with annual passes, because we know Todd went specifically
Oh,
to
yeah.
the park from Cincinnati to ride the ride on opening day. Joni was the same. They did an 8-hour car ride to get there just for, well, they come down for a few days, but were there really.
Well,
to
Todd was
ride
flying
that.
home the same day he rode,
Yeah.
and he was panicking because he was cutting it fine.
So we know people did go there specifically for this, but you would expect probably 95% of people who went were locals with annual
would
passes
imagine
who were
so.
like, I can give up a day, it's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I wouldn't do it. If we were coming over for a week or a 2-week
Oh, no,
trip,
I
there's
couldn't
no
give up
way I
that
would give up
time.
an entire day to ride a ride on opening day. There's no way.
Well, what's the longest you'd wait?
Sort of bearing in mind that if we were, like I said, if we were coming over for a 2-week vacation,
Oh, we're going back to 2 weeks. I'm excited.
and no,
now.
I'm like ordinarily that's what we'd be there for.
No, I know. Says the last 2 haven't been.
A Potter ride as well. I honestly don't know. I think I would give up. Yeah, I'm probably the same as you guys. Probably I would go 4.
I just held 3 fingers up.
3?
3.
Okay.
But then again, if you can
Yeah.
get out of
But what
line
if
to
you-
get snacks and drinks and go to the bathroom and stuff like that, that's different.
So if it was, let's say, just I'm theoretically put this there, right? 5 to 8 hour wait, and it's the only time frame that you have the entire 2 weeks you're there, would you skip out on riding it all together that trip and just wait till the next time you come down?
God, I mean that's brutal.
More difficult for you guys.
It really is. It really is.
See, it's different this time because I've got another trip booked pretty quickly afterwards.
If we knew we didn't have anything else booked and that was the only time we could do it, knowing that if I didn't do it then, I wouldn't get to ride it this trip, and then potentially not knowing when we were coming back, then yeah, I would have to.
Do you know what?
Yeah.
I'd let Lee talk me into it because then I'd have leverage for shopping.
Play the victim card.
Absolutely. No, yeah. If it was a one-shot deal, you'd have to do it.
Imagine if you weren't waiting for that though. Like all the other rides had to be like 5 minutes, right?
Yeah.
So that would be nice if you did decide to miss out.
Like Forbidden
That's-
Journey
yeah.
would be the only time you get on Forbidden Journey with a 5 or 10 minute wait.
Yeah.
I was going to say it'd be interesting to see what effect, once everything sort of calms down, to see what effect it does have on Forbidden Journey actually,
yeah, true.
lines wise. I mean, once obviously the initial maybe like 3 or 4 months to see whether if people are going to
Hype
stop riding
balance out.
Forbidden Journey and it's going to be, or whether they're going to be similar, because the Forbidden Journey was probably as busy as it was because people weren't riding Dragon Challenge. Now when you've got two top tier attractions in the same land, it'll be interesting
Across the
to
street
see.
from each other.
Yeah.
Literally.
That land it's got to be the perfect land at this point.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
it's got something for everybody.
Like diagonally stunning, and everyone can say it's a more encompassing land than Hogsmeade did. But I think if you go for food, entertainment, and attractions, Hogsmeade has got to be the land.
You could spend an entire day in Hogsmeade easily.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you'd spend 8 hours queuing for Hagrid.
And the other 3 hours for butterbeer.
Yeah. There you go, see? I was wondering how the what they call it, partitioned off queue line. My brain stopped working. You know, they put the barriers up for the queue. How that
The extended queue?
no,
No, because
just
they just put barriers
just the
back didn't they, to
barriers.
like Zeus Landing.
how it impeded the regular.
It didn't because
Park
they were
goes.
tucked out the way. If you watch a lot
I
of
know,
the videos,
but when you look, people couldn't get to the Hogwarts Express because the line went past that.
that's a good point. That was yeah.
You know, so there's things like that people, the maybe
Average day
people
guest would have missed
that
out.
have
on.
travelled
Yeah.
only have one day in the park. They picked that day. They picked the wrong day.
Well, it's their own fault.
Well, you know,
Do your
no,
research,
no,
people.
No, I'm just curious as to what sort of impact it did have on your regular day
What
tripper.
can you do?
Oh,
At the
of
end of the
course,
day, you
of
can't.
course. To be honest, you'd walk past and you'd get hyped up because of the buzz that was going on with that anyway. But I was just curious,
Yeah.
not in a negative way, just curious.
Yeah.
Well, what if you waited, those 11 hours, everything like that, and then it turned out that it was all just a big PR stunt
Dun,
that Universal orchestrated to say, hey, more people are interested in Hagrid's than they are in Star Wars.
Mm.
Now, we don't believe that here, personally, at the UUOP, but Chris has this crazy idea. So, Chris, tell us about your crazy conspiracy idea. Go ahead.
I'll give you the scoop on this, guys. So, a day or so after the official opening of the ride, a website, which will remain anonymous, posted an article claiming that Universal knowingly restricted capacity of the attraction by putting on less trains than the attraction can accommodate and not implementing the virtual line. They claim this was to artificially inflate lines and wait times to attract media attention, making Hagrid's motorbike adventure look more popular than it actually was. Lee, you want to start us off?
The guy that posted this took some crap on Twitter.
A little bit.
He
Yeah.
really did. A lot of people.
He still continues to on
Really?
everything he posts. Yes.
I don't want to mention it on here because I don't. I feel it's wrong. I don't believe it. So I don't want to give him any sort of press. And it seems to be that a lot of people who sort of really found his website to be a decent resource. In fact, I'd go as far as to say we've actually used that website for show content very recently. Very recently. And a lot of people I've lost a lot of respect for you and your site
Oh,
after this.
Some of those comments
See-
were brutal.
I'm in the same boat as you. My response is clickbait. After going through the article, it was heavy clickbait,
Yeah.
an attention grab. That's the way I saw it. Just didn't make any sense, some of the points that were being made.
I do understand the point about the virtual line. They've been talking about it quite a bit since the ride opened, since before the attraction opened, and yet they still haven't implemented it. Now, I don't know why that is. I don't know. The virtual line's a weird thing.
Because
anyway.
it's great press.
Well, of course it is, but I do you honestly believe, Darren, that they would put that many people into a situation to wait? We've already discussed up to 11 hours to get on that attraction just for press attention.
They did. Well, maybe not just for press attention, but because somebody decided that would be a good idea, they didn't have to do that. They could have used the virtual queue.
But there must be a reason why.
If you had a big group with you, then some of you could go off and do things and come back, and then the other people could do that. But if you went there by yourself, you were there by yourself. That was it.
Okay, let me throw this wrench in there, right? Virtual queue is supposed to be there, and I'm hoping it eventually does get implemented, right? All we have for virtual queue right now is Fallon, Fast and Furious, right? Any other ones, or just those two?
Yeah, I think it's just those two.
Okay. Those two rides running at basically regular capacity, not very big rides in the park, right? Doesn't really get that many, people coming in there. One of my things that I think is, they have this ride, which they know is going to be a monstrous ride. It's going to be drawing in lines and doing everything that it did, right? Not even running at full capacity. I think if they were to try to implement that virtual queue, it would really screw up with telling people when to come, right? They've been closing down the ride so often throughout the day just to try to do whatever it is they're doing, maintenance or, trying to get it up to running as it should all day, that I think implementing a virtual line or a virtual queue without getting all those bugs worked out is going to cause an even bigger delay for guests.
No, I think that's a
fair
really
point.
good point. I know, Darren, you'll probably think, we're a little bit biased because we know our opinion of it is that Universal didn't do that. But the point that Chris has just put across there does make an awful lot of sense. I think you can't implement something. It's different with Express. You could implement Express Pass at this point, which we knew they wouldn't. But I think a virtual system where you're asking people to come back at a specific time when potentially they knew, with not doing soft openings and things, I think they knew they were going to have technical issues with it right from the start. And that's proved to be true.
Well, yeah, that's true. But you could at least have them come back and enter the queue at a specific time. It doesn't make any sense to have people wait there since opening time or even earlier than that when it's not even going to open till 1 o'clock in the afternoon now.
It's such a weird one because, like, an opening, they knew it was going to be crazy. I think they just, my opinion of it is they just went, you know what, it's going to be a show because we know it's going to be mental. I'll be honest, it was more mental than I expected it to be.
It was every bit as mental as I expected it to be. I was saying for weeks that it was going to be like this.
And then trying to throw something else into the mix and then trying to have people queuing from 2 o'clock in the morning or whatever time people were getting to the parks to then try and put in some sort of virtual line to have people booking time slots through the day. And then obviously you've got that has a single rider line as well.
Sounds like a
knowing that
logistical
potentially it was
nightmare.
going to go down weather and all the rest of it. I think they just went, you know what, let's just stick everyone in a line and everyone will get there when they get there. And yeah,
Keep it
maybe
simple.
the fallout from that was, and it might give us a bit more press, because let's be honest, they didn't need the extra press.
Do you know what?
Not really.
It doesn't. I don't think it matters what they've done. If they implemented virtual queuing as well, they'd have got for that too.
Go on, Darren.
They can't do right.
They
do
don't
wrong.
need to. I'm sorry, you're saying that they don't need to when the neighbor next door is opening a Star Wars themed area.
Yeah, but
You're saying they don't need the extra press.
no, I don't think they do.
For the Hagrid motorbike ride.
Yeah.
Potterheads, man. Potterheads
Not-
will ride anything.
Yes, but not the Harry Potter motorbike adventure. This ride doesn't feature any of the main characters other than Hagrid, and only for a split second. I guess the pre-show, you could count that as well. But the actual animatronic, you only see it for a very short time. I'm sorry you guys haven't seen it yet. Spoiler alert.
Oh, I know, we've already discussed.
He's on it? What?
Yes, it's short as far as that goes.
Look, I'll play devil's advocate and say I would not put it past Universal to exploit its guests for some kind of publicity or promotion. I will not put it past them because their sister company, Comcast, loves doing that as well.
Yeah.
But I just don't see it for this. At least the points made in that article, it just, to me, it doesn't make a lot of sense. Yeah, any publicity is good publicity to an extent, but I don't see them needing it for this ride. And even so, let's just say in the beginning, that lasted longer than it should have. And then we were hearing reports about, only 6 trains. And that was also a point brought up inside the article. I mean, the things that you're hearing are the issues that they're having sound like legitimate issues that would then kind of, roll into it having these huge delays. So I have a hard time believing that all that was for this big PR stunt.
Yeah, I think it was a cause and effect. I think they've done what they needed to do, and it just happened that, yes, we'll get a bit more press attention out of it as well. I don't think that's the thought. I don't think first and foremost the thought in their mind was, how can we make people wait as long as they can that will give us the press attention that we want?
People wouldn't have waited if they didn't want to.
I think it was a byproduct.
They have a choice.
Yeah, people have a choice, but people are dumb.
Oh yeah, I'm not disputing that at
Everyone
all.
listening to this podcast,
Apart from you lot, of course.
Yeah, you're not. There might be a few of you. but
I'm
we
not
don't know.
saying that the people that waited in this particular line are dumb. I'm just saying that people will wait for anything as long as you allow them to.
Yes.
Yeah.
iPhones, that kind of thing as well. So like at least this was an awesome experience at the end of the line. Other than that, other than just getting a phone that you could eventually get in a month or something like that.
Yeah. Yeah, because nobody else would say.
Experience.
This is the same thing, though.
Yeah, it is.
Go back
You
a
could
month later
exactly.
and not
I know.
have to do
There's
that.
no right or wrong answer.
Yeah.
Also true.
And like I said, I think that no matter what they did, they were damned whatever they did. Somebody was always going to call them out on something.
Darren, I think your argument would hold water a little bit more if we knew that Star Wars Galaxy's Edge was opening with its premiere ride, which it isn't. And Smuggler's Run hasn't exactly been blowing people away.
Can you really argue that? Do you really think that Hagrid is creating more of a crowd than Star Wars Galaxy's Edge in California?
No, but you're talking about a ride that's opening in an already existing area of the park compared to a theme park area that doesn't exist. Well, up until a theme park area. The one in California and the one in Orlando, that up until this year had not existed anywhere.
Okay.
So that's always going to have more buzz.
It's going to have more buzz, but the bottom line is they managed the crowds better by setting up a system that worked.
Who did?
Disney. Are they doing that in Orlando? Because it doesn't seem like they are at the moment.
Wait, what system are we talking about? The
4-hour time window thing.
The 4-hour time window to get in there. They came up with a system that worked, that got people in there that, they had to wait a long time for the cantina and that kind of thing, but they got to experience the land, which didn't happen with Wizarding World, which didn't happen with, anything at Universal or any other park thus far. Yeah,
because Disney has sat back and watched what's happened with Hogsmeade and Diagon Alley and gone, how can we not let that happen?
Exactly. So how can your opponents see that? No.
Are you sure? Because I was watching one of the videos or reading something that they were charging initially for 4-hour windows.
Sure. No. I think it was a preview time though. As far as I'm aware, now it's open to guests. Everyone's allowed in at any time.
So you still get 4-hour windows or no?
Anyway, right, we're not talking about Galaxy's Edge. This is actually we need to save this because we're recording a Producers Club episode after this, and that Galaxy's Edge thing, we'll have a conversation after that.
Well, yeah. Well, I'm talking about in the effect that they came up with a system that worked, that made it manageable for everybody to go in and have a good time, that didn't involve people sitting in lines for 11 hours, waiting to go into the attraction.
True.
At the most, I think people were waiting 45 minutes to get in there.
Yeah.
Which was pretty awesome. And then you get to see the whole land and experience and everything with a limited crowd. Yes, we're talking about a land as opposed to attraction, but the attraction itself, people were actually able to go on multiple times. Were you able to do that with the motorbike adventure on the first day?
In fairness, as far as Smuggler's Run goes, it's not just one. It's not a one and on, whereas you could have multiple rooms at any one time.
Yes, but I'm saying that a large amount of crowds were able to do it multiple times in their time window.
Well, I guess if you got there early for the motorbike one and ran quickly to the end of the line, you might have got a second ride in.
Yeah.
Park closed in 10 minutes. I've been here since the morning. Let's try it again.
Exactly. And they were letting people stay in there very late and running in the attraction way past closing time.
Yeah.
Which led to something else. I think that we can just bring up now at this point. Universal issued a statement that said after the initial opening day insanity, they saw wait times slowly decrease. Although the day after opening, they saw the ride plagued with technical issues, as well as going down due to adverse weather. The ride will close a lot like many others in Central Florida if lightning is in the area. That's the Curse of Busch Gardens, basically.
Yes, yeah. Well, we've seen it
attractions
firsthand,
are
haven't we,
outside.
Darren?
Yeah, exactly. Once it starts raining there, you have nothing to do. Like, so much so that they actually issue rain tickets for Busch Gardens in the event that it rains too much on those days. So new rides often have issues once opened, and they kind of expected it with Hagrid's Magical Creatures Motorbike Adventure, as it only had 3 days of team member previews and no technical rehearsals at all whatsoever. But with the issues they saw with the ride having, it prompted Universal to release this statement on Monday, June 17th. Hagrid's Magical Creatures Motorbike Adventure is even more popular than we could have imagined.
Oh, Darren.
And we have been working hard to make sure that everyone who wants to get to ride gets to do so. We've been managing through significant weather delays and running the attraction well beyond regular park hours to accommodate our guests. But this is our most sophisticated, high-performance ride system ever, and our team needs time to take care of the ride's daily maintenance and technical support. It's been challenging for them to do that with our current operating schedule. So, to make sure the team has the time it needs, we'll be opening the ride at midday. We're not going to tell you an exact time, midday, for the next couple of weeks. We're sharing this so you can better plan your day.
I'll still have this argument with you, Darren. Midday means noon.
Noon.
It does mean noon, but it hasn't been open.
No, it hasn't been. You're right.
During this time, it's best for you to enjoy the rest of Universal's Islands of Adventure in the morning and check with our operations team for daily updates. And we'll share any updates with you here too, even though we know you're going to sit in line anyway.
Right.
And you have been.
So, having read that and digested a little bit of what we talked about before, the biggest problem with the opening of Hagrid's Magical Creatures Motorbike Adventure has not been whether they manage people's expectations. It's not whether they implemented or did not implement virtual queue. It is not whether they should have done some sort of timed slots for people. It is the fact that they opened it too early.
Yeah.
So yes, I would agree that they did that because they wanted it open as soon as possible before Star Wars Galaxy's Edge opens at Disney's Hollywood Studios. So yes, they probably should have done a week or two of technical rehearsals and opened it 2 weeks after it did.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, aside from that, it's a very odd move to be opening it at noon every day, or
1
or 2, whatever it is.
Especially because if you live in Florida, you know,
That's when it rains.
Yes, exactly. That's exactly the time that it starts raining, or at least a couple hours into that. So they're going to lose a lot of the afternoon for a couple hours due to thunderstorms, and that's been very active since the ride opened.
Yeah.
Unfortunately for Universal, it was funny because for like a year before that, it's been very dry as far as that goes.
Okay.
But this time, no, not so much. It's been thunderstorms every afternoon. So it opens up at noon and then has to shut down again by like 2:00 for the thunderstorms, and then opens back up again. So
the one thing I will say is, for all the issues, for all the tempers that must have been frayed for people waiting hours and hours and hours, I have not seen a single person who has ridden that ride come off and say anything other than it is one of the best rides in the world at this point.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Not a single person go, that wasn't worth it. Every person who's waited multiple hours have come off and said, you know what, it was worth waiting that amount of time for.
Which is crazy, because it is a lot of time.
Yeah, I'm definitely excited to do it. I won't wait this long to ride, so I'm glad we're going in October, and hopefully I can find a way to get get there during the day to ride it. So but yeah, definitely 8-11 hours. I just can't do it anymore. I did it. I like I said, we did it for Gringotts, and I was so disappointed at the end. At least this one, I wouldn't be disappointed.
That's the difference. The problem with Gringotts was we said it before. The bar was set so high with Forbidden Journey that Gringotts was always going to pale in comparison. Yeah,
and it was such a stagnant line. We were just sitting in the the outside queue for so long. It was brutal as far as that goes. It was just as hot as it is now.
Yeah.
With no wind flow or anything, because you're like totally enclosed all the way around, like fenced in with the sun beating down on you. So yeah, not fun at all. So at least they did better with the line on this one, but I'd like to see them, implement virtual queue from the beginning, make it so these people don't have to wait like this, let people know that if you're going to be waiting more than half the day, then we're going to give you a return ticket, to come back at 1:00 and wait at that point, at least give them a few more hours and not wait in line and just, hanging out around the park.
I know they were issuing, I know Travis got one, a single issue express pass for it. Apparently they've much coveted single use express pass for Hagrid's Magical Creatures Motorbike Adventure.
Yeah. Or like red.
Yeah.
Like special little red tickets. Yeah.
Okay.
Pretty cool.
Yeah.
All right. Well, you've heard our opinions for the people that haven't been here at all on the attraction. So let's hear from some people that have been. Lee, roll those clips.
Hello, UUOP. I just got off Hagrid's new coaster and wanted to drop a quick word on how I thought the ride was. To give some context, my top 5 rides right now are Gringotts, Dinosaur, Tower of Terror in Orlando, Temple of Forbidden Eye, and Arthur and the Miniboys in Europa Parks. And I have to say that Hagrid's might be my favorite ride anywhere. It's sad to see Dueling Dragons go, but if we're trading in the Rip Ride Rocket style coasters for the Gringotts and Hagrid's type coasters, I think we're headed in the right direction. I didn't want to drop any spoilers because if you want to find them, you could, and you're probably not listening to the podcast for that. You're probably listening for entertainment. So I figured for those who have not gone yet,
maybe
I would drop a few tips. Unlike Disney, they will close the queue when it hits capacity towards the end of the night. So Disney, if the park closes at 9, it used to 8:59, they'd let you in. Now it's 30 minutes ahead of time, so it would be 8:29. I know I checked the app a couple times when I was leaving work, and it had been close to capacity before I even got out. For larger individuals, you can have a test bike right in the final showroom before you walk into the coaster, and just a little tip, you will likely be sitting on the right-hand side if you're afraid if you are going to fit. But they'll know with the green or red light whether the seat will be able to lock in place and you'll be able to have the restraints. And the single rider line is about 45 minutes, give or take, from the point the line starts inside of the last showroom into where you get on the attraction. That does not include the stairwell that walks down to it or the walkway leading to there. However, the 2 times I got there, both times I started right either at the bottom of the stairwell or inside of the line itself. If you are looking to find the single rider line, unfortunately you will not be able to go into a separate line when you enter the gate. You'll need to go through the queue and go up to about the point where you see Hagrid's hut. Then you'll be able to break off and go into the single rider line. So this is Tess. Check it out.
Hi, UUOP. This is Kenneth, your trusty YouTube videographer, and I am here with my first thought review of Hagrid's Magical Creatures Motorbike Adventure. I got to ride it today for the first time. I've only ridden it once. To be fair, it was a pretty long time ago. I've had some time to think about it, and also, this is not an instant reaction, so keep that in mind. I've had some time to think about it. My initial thoughts, the feelings that I had while I was on that ride were pure glee, giddiness, happiness. I was screaming with delight the entire time. That ride is, in capital, bold, italicized, underlined letters, fun. It is the most fun ride Universal's built, probably since The Mummy. It's more fun than Rocket. And even though Forbidden Journey is an amazing ride, you don't have the same feeling that you do on Hagrid's. You really feel like you're flying. It's crazy, like the speed, but it's just fun. Like, okay, those 7 launches, I'll say this. If you are afraid of the drops and the incline and it being too intense for you, I will say put those fears out of your head now, because while it does all of those things that you've heard in the rumors, it isn't an overly intense ride. I would say the most thrilling part about the whole ride is how fast it goes. It is shocking how fast you are moving at certain points of that ride. Maybe it's because you're so low to the ground and you're so open. I got to ride it on the motorbike seat, and just that feeling of openness, I think, is probably what makes you feel like you're really flying, and also what makes that speed feel especially intense and impactful. I've heard also a lot of really good things about the queue. I will say, for the most part of the queue, I was not overly impressed. The pre-show starts before the room is fully loaded, so I don't really know what happens at the beginning of the pre-show. I'm not sure of what the storyline is, because by the time I walked in, I think the main points of the plot had already been established, and they were kind of just messing around with magic and, you know, the fun stuff that they do in the pre-show. I don't want to spoil anything. Yeah, I'm very proud of Universal Creative for this ride. It's not 100% positive. It's kind of hard because, like, while those animatronics are really impressive, you're on a roller coaster that goes very fast. So you don't really get to see any of them for very long. If you didn't already know which magical creatures to be looking for, you probably would miss several of them. So I guess that's a good thing that they did reveal what the magical creatures were ahead of time. Because I have a feeling they were probably writing it and saying, like, people aren't even going to see this thing if we don't tell them that it's there. So, this is a very rewritable ride. It's not going to be one of those, oh yeah, I did it once, that's good enough. You are going to want to ride this ride over and over and over again. I can't imagine anyone getting off it and not being happy unless they were scared. Like, if you're scared on this ride, you don't like roller coasters at all. Like, you wouldn't even ride Hippogriff. Because it's really smooth. You never go high up. There's no insane drops, you know, other than the ones that you've seen rumored. And those are not even the most thrilling elements of the ride. Like I said, it's really how fast you're going that is the most exciting thing. And maybe the most exciting thing I've felt on any ride ever. And this ride, the theming really is the frosting on the cake, but the movements of the ride are really what's exciting. And I think that just goes to show that, like, these physical rides are really what people want. I'm glad that they've gotten the message about screens, that we're over it. And this was the ultimate thing that they could do to make up for everything that they've done for the past few years. Like, this is just Universal Creative in top form. There's not really anything I could say that could improve the ride. Like, this, it's just fantastic. I don't really have to say anything. You were all going to ride it anyway, so I'm not really selling anyone on anything at this point. I think all I'm doing is getting you more excited for it, and you should be. So you're going to ride it, and you're going to like it, and you're going to love it, and you're going to have the best time of your life, and you're going to be happy you did it, and you're going to get in line and do it again. Oh, and one more thing to add. You may remember hearing about the special smell that they created for the blast-ended scroot, and I gotta say, it is a fantastic smell. It smells delicious, not at all what I expected it to smell like. I thought it would smell kind of barbecue-y, kind of like the dragon dung in Diagon Alley. It actually kind of smells fruity, and I think this is another great smell to add to the list of great theme park smells, and it might be better than the ET smell. And I know that's blasphemous, but it's a great smell. I noticed it twice on the ride. It's a very good smell, and there's another thing for you to look forward to. Make sure you are on the lookout. Make sure your nose is sniffing away whenever you see those blast-ended scroots, because you are gonna like what you smell. You're gonna have a great time. Flight of Passage, what's that? Who cares? It's a screen. Yeah, it's an above average screen ride, but it's a screen ride. This Hagrid's Magical Creatures Motorbike Adventure is the future. All right, bye.
So, Robin, what did you think of Hagrid's Magical Creatures Motorbike Adventure, other than the fact that the name is way too long?
Exactly. So we're just going to call it Hagrid's, because that's what everyone else is going to call it. I thought it was amazing. My initial reaction when I got off the ride was like, whoa, what was that? Like,
right?
That was pretty freaking cool. It really is much more than I feel I've ever experienced on one ride.
Yeah, like it takes elements from lots of different rides that we've experienced and kind of mashes them all together in such a way that you just really get off and have no idea what just happened to you.
Yeah, there's so much going on. You know, I find on a lot of roller coasters, Hulk and Rock and Roller Coaster, that initial jolt is really exhilarating. But then, like, towards the end, you're like, meh.
Right.
Like, you kind of get bored and you can look around and
right, yeah.
lose that. That doesn't happen in this ride.
You're right.
There's always something else coming. Right?
Yeah, you're right. I didn't even think about that. Yeah, like on Hulk, it's super exciting in the beginning and then the first couple of loops. And then towards, you know, the last third, I would say, I'm just like, wee, this is fun. And I'm looking around at the park, especially at night, you know,
exactly.
Looking at the scenery. Yeah, this ride does not give you that chance, because just when it like slows down for you to look at an animatronic or whatever, all of a sudden you're taking off on one of those crazy, thrusts again.
Yeah.
And it's like the initial launch all over again, like 4 or 5 different times.
Yeah, it's like 4 or 5 times. The technological side of that ride is just amazing. Amazing.
It really is, which is why it's causing a lot of breakdowns.
Right.
Because there's a lot of technology involved. On traditional roller coasters, it's mostly physics that keep you going.
Right.
If not entirely physics that keep you going. But on this one, it's not physics at all. It is technology. So it's finicky sometimes. Now, tell me if you disagree, but I think that over the next few months, they're going to get all that figured out. They're going to get the maintenance schedule figured out, as far as what time it needs to close and reopen in order to refresh itself. Yep. They're going to get like the queuing system and everything all figured out. And within the next 3 months, I think it'll be much smoother as far as the line goes, and won't have so many breakdowns other than weather. They can't control the weather.
Absolutely.
And this one does shut down due to, not to rain, but if there's lightning within 6 miles, it will shut down.
Yeah, because it's all outside. Yeah, I agree with you. I think just like any ride, it's the kinks, it's the crowd level. Yeah, should they have done a soft opening? Yeah, probably, but we would have preferred not.
Right. Yeah.
We liked being there for the opening, and I was there the second day. Like, that was awesome that not all these other people have been in there.
Correct.
Checking it out. So I liked that from a consumer point of view.
Right.
So what would you give this ride? 1 out of 10. 10 being the best ride ever.
10. Like, I don't even have to think about that. That is the best ride out there.
Yeah. So I'm going to give it a 9. And the reason I'm going to give it the 9 is not the ride. So the ride itself, I think, is a 10. But the whole experience, I think Universal, and maybe it's because they rushed to get it open.
Right.
But the queues for Escape from Gringotts and the Forbidden Journey are so much more interactive and entertaining. Right now, they missed the mark with that.
I agree. Yep.
Yeah, you get to the ride, and the ride is absolutely amazing. But one thing, we were in that queue for a very long time.
Yeah.
The other two, there's so much to look at and so much to get your attention, and all these things going on with all these different screens talking to you. In Hagrid's, you only get that in really the first room that you're in.
Right.
And then that's it.
Even the rooms that had things to look at, it was very minimal. Like the egg room, with the dragon eggs. The eggs were just along one wall. So,
and they're just eggs that sit there. They don't do anything.
Yeah, they don't wiggle. They don't, nothing.
So hopefully they'll add to that. Hopefully that's the part that I think the ride, it's going to work its kinks out, but it is absolutely amazing. They hit the mark on that. I think the queue just needs some work.
I think so too. Completely agree. So I'm interested to see how things play out over the rest of the year. But hopefully they'll all be worked out before October, when we'll be there again, because I can't wait to ride it at night. I hear it's even more amazing then.
Yeah, that's one thing we missed. So we'll get on that.
We're coming back for you, Hagrid. We're coming.
That's right. And everyone else, go check out Hagrid.
And let Mouse and Muggle Travel Company get you there.
Shameless plug.
Give us a call, send us an email. We're happy to help you ride Hagrid and give you some tips.
Yep, mouseandmuggletravel.com.
Robin, did you say you give people help riding Hagrid? I think it's wrong. That riders give people it gave us plenty of giggles on this show with his opening and stuff. It's just ripe for double entendre.
I don't think it's quite Barney though.
No, not quite. Oh god, yeah. Can you imagine us tackling Hagrid's grand opening 6 years ago? We're like little kids, we were giggling.
Yeah, right.
I think we've all matured a bit since then.
I haven't. I can't say what I want to say. So I'm not sure you'd edit it. You wouldn't edit it out. Yeah.
Quite grand indeed.
Yeah, it sounds awesome, and I cannot wait.
Yeah,
me too.
Yeah.
Very, very cool. And yeah, unlike every other attraction that's open in the last how many years, there's no screens, or it's not like screen
Yeah.
based. So
And hopefully this is Universal getting back onto what we know they can do well.
Yeah, I want to see this trend.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
I think you see how popular it is, whether it's been artificially inflated or not. Hopefully it sends the right message to them.
yeah,
Cool.
definitely. So yeah, overall, I'd say whether those long lines were artificial or not, like you said, it's a good attraction, and it'll stand the test of time. It looks like,
Absolutely.
as long as it holds up, because it is. What's the manufacturer again?
Intamin, isn't it?
Yeah, Intamin, right? Yeah, so people say those ones break down a lot.
Yes.
And there are some conspiracy theories about some worn paint on the turns already on some of the banks.
Really?
Yeah. That say that maybe they didn't plan those ones very well, because the paint shouldn't be worn this early on. But we'll see.
I think when
see how
you've
that
got
goes.
like,
But people
half a
are
dozen-
saying how smooth it is.
yes,
So
yeah, that's true. Cool.
I think you're okay on that. Cool. Well, other than that, we have a little bit of extra news. Universal just announced today,
Yeah, thanks.
before we
Universal.
recorded. Yes. First of all, that we have a new house for Horror Nights this year.
Whoop,
An
whoop.
original one. Face the brutal beasts of Yeti, Terror of the Yukon at Halloween Horror Nights.
I've written that before.
Yeah, right. This one moves though. That's the difference. From the evil geniuses, they paid me to say that. Ha ha ha.
Did they,
Who
Derek?
brought me to it? No, they didn't actually at all. Who brought you Attack of the Swamp Yeti and last year's Grindhouse themed Slaughter Cinema? I knew this was going to happen
Yeah.
too. That house was just so good that all those ones are eventually going to become houses.
Which is cool.
Yeah, I'm totally okay with that, because each little area was so great.
Yeah.
But yeah, from the Slaughter Cinema House comes a frightening new take on the fear-inducing folklore of the wild Yeti. But beware, because this experience will trade B-movie scares for bloodthirsty terror that will send you running in the opposite direction. The snows will be red with blood. Awesome. In Yeti, Terror of the Yukon. Haunted House coming to Universal Orlando's Universal Orlando's Haunted Scary Terror Nights. So deep in the remote tundra of the Yukon, loggers and trappers seek refuge from the frigid grip of an Arctic blizzard. But out in the darkness, a terror lurks far more dangerous than the deluge of snow and ice. These unfortunate souls have intruded into a territory that is haunted by their worst nightmares. Enter a logging camp that has been torn apart, floors caked with snow, bones, and gore. Right outside, screams are frozen on the faces of those who fled the towering monsters only to succumb to the elements. But there is no escape from the beasts as brutal as the winter. Sounds pretty awesome.
Yeah, it really does.
Yeah.
Just when you thought the only thing to fear was the elements, an icy terror will descend over you. Cringe at the trail of blood leading to the caves none have lived to see. As you enter the labyrinth of caves, you'll hear the screaming echoes of those who couldn't escape the inevitable. If you survive long enough to see the end, you're likely to find the remains of those who came before you and meet their same demise. You're in Yeti territory now. They're stone cold vicious and will stop at nothing for a taste of blood. If the cold doesn't get you, they will.
So good.
Now, I've said, other than Stranger Things, just because I didn't get to see it last year, that none of the houses really gripped me so far this year. That one
Yeah.
does.
Yeah. It's going to be great. And hopefully, some really good air conditioning in there.
Yeah, I hope they could drop the temperature. I was actually talking to Julie Zimmerman about it tonight, and she was saying the same. She hopes that that they will manage to sort of drop that temperature to just feel like you're out in the Arctic tundra,
Yes.
even though it's not the Arctic tundra. It's
It's Canadian.
the Canadian tundra.
It is, I think it's
Be
up
cool to see
near
like
the-
red
the
bloody
Arctic Circle,
footsteps
though.
too.
Yeah. Yeah, all the cool snow effects they can do with that. It's going to be so great.
Oh,
I'm very excited for this one.
Yeah.
It's going to be very good. I'm already calling it. It's going to be the fan favorite.
it's already got kind of a following, hasn't it? Because they know they're not daft that they've put in that it's kind of a sequel to Slaughter Cinema from last
Yeah.
year, and they knew how well that went down. So
Yeah.
Well, hopefully they
And-
deliver.
yeah, I'm excited about that
Yeah.
one.
Yeah, and like the joke I made, it's already, it's built in. that they have a Yeti that works.
Yeah.
It's actually terrifying. And I guarantee you that at the press event, they will talk about that several times.
Well, you saw that tweet from Universal, right?
No, did they already talk about it?
Yeah, they already when they
There you
posted it
go.
up.
Awesome.
Somebody had mentioned, something about riding the ride over in Disney, and Universal responded with, "Yeah, but ours moves." So they already started that.
Oh,
Awesome.
awesome.
Funny.
Yeah, so that's great. So yeah, definitely looking forward to that one and the rest of the houses. Looks like it's going to be a very solid year this year.
It really does.
Are you guys glad you're coming?
Oh, yes. And for me, they still haven't announced, if the rumours are true, they still haven't announced the ones that I'm proper excited
Yeah.
for.
Gotta
Yeah,
be
if that
there.
one comes true still. Oh, I can't wait.
Oh. We'll talk about, if it's the same one I'm talking about, we'll talk about that off air.
Yeah.
Indeed. All right. Well, if you want to experience that and several other things, of course, you can't forget that the UUOP The Weekender tickets are still available, and you can get me a lot more drunk than this. It's going to be awesome. You can head over to UUOPTheweekender.eventbrite.com to get yours. Fat Tuesdays, double shots. Oh, yeah. And we'll end with another Universal Is from Jeff Royds. Now, if you want to be involved with this, just send us your answer to what Universal is to you in 3 words or less and send it to podcast@uuopodcast.com. And Jeff says Universal is peace, love, and rock. See you next week.
Cut, print, that's a wrap for another episode of the Unofficial Universal Orlando podcast. Never miss a show by subscribing on Apple Podcasts and leave us a rating and review while you're there. Not an Apple user? You can listen on Stitcher, Spotify, YouTube, iHeartRadio, or your podcatcher of choice. Email us any questions or comments to podcast@uuopodcast.com. Follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Google+, YouTube, Instagram, and Pinterest. Just search UUO Podcast. Keep up with the latest news, rumors, and updates on our blog at uuopodcast.com. Thanks for listening. See you next week.